Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, coffee moaners. Hope you're well. Welcome to our channel. If you're new to our channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because we put up a lot of content here, and the notification bell will will notify you.
Get up and show them your yoga pants.
Why?
They look great.
Oh.
I really like them.
My yoga pants. Now, these are just the best things for yoga, but also for just hanging out.
They're great. No, don't feel weird. They make me think of, magic carpets.
I actually get them from Amazon.
You look like sort of, Alibaba or something.
I'm Alibaba-ish. Yeah. Oh, don't. We could be moving into blackface area with that.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll calm down.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'll calm down. Okay. Morning, everyone. I hope you're well. Hi, Stuart G. Lee Durrant, I hope you're in the room. Hope you're feeling better. Sending you love, matey. How is everyone? How are you? How are you feeling this morning? You feeling? I'm
feeling okay. I did yoga, but I just couldn't focus. My mind was wandering, and I hate that.
Yes.
But that is also a good thing to notice when you're doing yoga. So why is your mind all over the place?
Very hard to nail it down, though, isn't it? Very hard to stop it from kind of. Yeah. As soon as I think I mustn't think, then I think about not thinking.
Exactly.
And then I'm thinking.
But you must never say I must not. You just say I notice that, because if you say don't do something, your brain goes into overdrive thinking about it.
I suppose I need to think, right?
So I suppose we should tell you what we're going to be talking about, because it feels like we did, but it was over on Instagram.
Yeah, I get a bit confused by that.
There is a blackface story, because otherwise you might wonder what the hell I was talking about when I just said that. And also we're going to be talking about the horrific move now. Well, not move, because they're still doing the most horrendous things in Gaza, but Israel is spreading now into Lebanon. So we're going to be talking on that. We're going to be talking about DiCaprio, Leonardo DiCaprio in the photos with Puff Daddy. What were we saying the other week? Everybody that's ever spent any time with Puff Daddy.
Well, not just Leo, but J-Lo. She's worried as well. And yeah, we're going to also touch upon early pub closings, which is being mooted and suggested at the Labour conference. This is a possibility. This is part of their drive to make us healthier. There's the possibility that licensing laws could be changed. I want to know, I love listening to you guys about nanny state. Do you feel we're in a nanny state?
They'll love this. Love this. It's the nanny state thing.
But hold the front page. I have a bone to pick with you.
Right.
I thought you were particularly humorless yesterday.
Okay.
I thought you approached the John Barrowman story sort of so seriously and so lacking in fun. Because this morning I was reminded that the reason John Barrowman left SAS, Get Me Out of Here, whatever it is, was because he ate some rancid tofu. And
now has that been added into the story?
And this made me laugh even more. There he is, having dealt with or about to deal with tofu. And I just found myself giggling again. I just thought, for me, it was just a hysterical story about the namby-pamby pandering of celebrity. Because I personally feel two things about him. I think I love the fact that he doesn't give a fuck and he's gone. But I also think it's hysterical that he was broken so quickly.
By slightly off tofu. Now, was it off, or is he just saying that?
Now, interestingly, there is a piece, I haven't pulled it and I didn't think we could go into it, but there is a piece in The Independent actually I'm not too sure who the journalist is, but they're talking about how this story is being hijacked by dismissive stereotypes of gay men.
Is that what everybody's doing?
Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of that creeping in. I'm not coming from that perspective at all. I just think it's hysterically showbiz. I just think it's so showbiz. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that. But I also briefly wanted to talk about, has anyone else noticed how much Rachel Reeves grins? She's a right grinner. She doesn't stop grinning until someone interrupts her.
For their incompetence, their dishonesty, and their rule breaking.
Good man. Very decent.
Look how they deal with him. Look.
Oh, he was absolutely manhandled.
Round the neck.
Round the neck, he put his other hand.
This is a changed Labour Party, a Labour Party that represents working people, not a party of protest.
Not a party. And the way she says it, she's just so proud of herself. What the hell are you talking about? So you're never going to protest about anything else that might be going on in any other country or within our own country? You're not going to. It's a ludicrous sentence. She's ashamed of herself.
Me too. Can you explain to me, because I mean, I know that you're a big Labour voter and supporter, and understandably why we would have been alongside you if it wasn't for Israel. What did she mean by we're no longer a party of protest? Did she mean that we are no longer in any way calling from the outside because we're in government, we don't need to protest? Or is she saying no one should protest anything that this Labour government does?
The problem with it was she was really proud of herself. She thought she got a lovely, beautiful, off-the-cuff rhythm. She was really proud of herself. I don't think the audience knew what they were bloody clapping for. But the point is, if you're going to make a big statement, it has to be a clear statement. Now, she could have meant...
Yeah, like there's been a lot of arguing.
There's been a lot of arguing. And we are now here and where. But when you're doing it in the face of a man who's being manhandled, at one point they had his hand around his throat. He's got marks all around his throat. He's got like his wrists are like bright red. And that was a young man. He does a lot of stuff for the environment as well.
Yeah, I've seen
just very decently. Saying you're still sending arms to Israel. I thought this was going to be the party of change.
It felt like it was being dragged, Edward Bivington, off to the tower.
It was really appalling optics for me. It's put me right off them again. It's just gross. They're gross. They're gross. They're not said a single thing about what's going on now. With
Lammy has. No,
finally.
No, what they're saying is they're alarmed, they're worried, they're disappointed. Well, they haven't actually even said they're disappointed. They say they're concerned a lot.
Well, maybe they should be concerned that if there are ever international trials down the road for this in an international court, they could all find themselves pulled in as playing a part in a genocide.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's what they're worried about.
So yesterday, Israel pounded southern Lebanon. Over 500 people have been declared dead. Now, but it's interesting to see how Israel and the West are going to deal with
the bodies found. Yeah, because there's still be a lot under the rubble.
I'm really interested to see how they're going to deal with the fact that this information is now coming from the Lebanon Health Authority. How are they going to how do they get around that one? Because it's not Hezbollah's health authority. This is the Lebanon Health Authority have declared the numbers. So here we go again. 32 children have already died in the assault on Lebanon. Tens of thousands of people are already moving, homeless. They were given hours to move. And I love this description of America's foreign policy and diplomacy in the area. I can't remember who said it, but I want to quote it again. It's like America of firefighting with a flamethrower. They're saying, don't escalate, but here's $3.6 billion worth of armory.
And also, can every single country that is attacked by Israel just show caution and just calm down and do nothing?
No.
Because white colonialism is coming right across the region. As Netanyahu said, we've only just begun. We're going to completely change the shape of the Middle East.
Yeah, me too. Netanyahu said, you can go back to your homes afterwards. That's so nice of you, isn't it? And here's the other thing. There was a meeting at the White House and there was a meeting at the UN where I think Blinken, the Blinken idiot, who's been to the Middle East now 9 times, hasn't even managed to negotiate a prisoner exchange, let alone peace. Keeps wandering around with his guitar.
He goes over there and he has a nice big meal.
Of course he does.
Probably a lot of dishes appropriated from the Palestinians. And they sit and they have a chit chat and then he goes off again because Israel is America. It is America in the Middle East.
But here's the thing. Guess what people are seriously saying over there? This is like something, I wish we had a spitting image to caricature it. Or do you remember Rory Bremner and those two guys who used to just take the piss out of the army? They're saying that Israel's policy, this is what Israel said to America, we want to escalate to de-escalate. And Blinken has said to the Prime Minister of Egypt, the leader of Egypt, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, we don't think this is working. No shit, Sherlock. Escalate to de-escalate. Now, Israeli forces are building on the border with southern Lebanon. There is the suggestion and the fear being reported in the Middle East, no one's talking about it here, that a land incursion or a land invasion could happen. It's about to blow much bigger. Hezbollah haven't really responded. Iran have made their statements earlier today. This is provocative. And as Gideon Levy, is it, who says in Haaretz, the Israeli, is he an academic?
Israeli news, but he's a journalist.
Writing for an Israeli publication, Haaretz. as he himself said, he said there's one obvious solution to this whole thing about putting, the claim that Netanyahu is making that many Israelis from the northern territories have had to be evacuated because of the crossfire.
Or are they displaced?
They're displaced. Oh. Yeah. He says, get a ceasefire in Gaza, and then it will stop. Who stopped the ceasefire? It all goes back to the ceasefire. Hezbollah have said, we will stop when you stop pounding Gaza. I don't understand how much more simple it can get. But now we have, interestingly, I love what you said earlier about how the IDF give their announcements in English. Because who are they telling, really? Who are they warning?
Yeah. Don't you think that's incredible? Don't you think that is pure, because the message is to America, the message is to the West. They've blown up pages and phones and God knows what. So these messages that are coming through by text and these messages across the world in English to the villages, in Lebanon. Yeah, they're all sitting by their tellies, aren't they? And listening to this in English.
I wanna now play you something that I played on my or I've put on my Instagram. This is Rania Khalek. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. Rania Khalek. She was on the Piers Morgan show. She just gives us a little bit. She pushes back against what's his name? Is it Dersh? Whatever his name is, the American lawyer who is representing Israel. Anyway, she's one of three guests on the Piers Morgan show, and she just provides a little bit of context to the Hezbollah Hamas or origin story, if you like, of Hezbollah and Hamas. So I just thought I'd share this with you.
Terrorists, Hezbollah terrorists. Alan says Israel's just surrounded from everywhere. Everybody hates them and they're always throwing rockets at them. Hezbollah emerged, it's Lebanese people who emerged in the mid-1980s because Israel viciously invaded and occupied Lebanon. And under those conditions emerged a group of Lebanese people who picked up arms to defend their homes and land from occupation. And that's how you get Hezbollah. Since then, they have been seen by many Lebanese as a force of protection against further Israeli invasions of Lebanon. And I'll also remind you, Hezbollah has never invaded Israel. Israel has repeatedly invaded Lebanon. The same goes for Hamas, by the way. Hamas is a group of Palestinians who picked up arms to defend their people against Israeli aggression. If you want that to stop, Israel needs to stop invading, occupying, and massacring its neighbors. People in your neighborhood are not going to like you if you continue to kill their families and steal their homes and land.
People in your neighborhood are not going to like you if you continue to kill their families, destroy their homes and steal their land.
I was talking to Maddie about this earlier this morning.
It's a great last line, that.
There's a lot. Look at that bungalow at the end of that cul-de-sac. I know what I'll do. I'll tell the family to get out. I'll arrest them. I'll kill one of them. I'll throw one of their children in jail.
But I won't tell them where their children are. I won't tell them where they're going.
I'll keep all their furniture. I'll keep everything they own. I'll make it mine. I'll put up a gate, and then I'll invite everyone else to come and take every other house in their neighborhood. And you think that there may be no cause for aggravation or grievance?
Every day I wake up, I can't quite believe it.
If people can't get on board with this because it's so far away and it's in a land where there's sand and we hear things like owl before words and we think, what does that mean? Oh my God, they must be terrorists. If you can't get on board with that, just think of a suburban cul-de-sac where someone else comes in and takes your home without asking, without rules, without any kind of legality. Just get out.
And they bring the army to make sure you get out. And then they move in. They use your bed sheets. They use your pots and pans. They use your knives and forks. If they like the fridge, they'll keep the fridge. But sometimes they throw the fridge out because they want a newer fridge. There is videos of this everywhere. This has happened to members of my family way back. This is a reality. But the world has done a great job of making people Arab terrorist, Muslim terrorist. And therefore giving them the right to do whatever the hell they want, America, because Israel is America.
Simple as that. Israel. Right, let's read some of your comments.
They want the oil, they want the pets.
What is your take on this, guys? Nikki Bull says, Israel is a classic bully, with mates in the older year, group backing them, i.e. USA, UK. They poke, they prod, then they play victim when there is any reaction. It's so predictable.
Yeah.
It's so predictable. Helena B, exactly, Mark. Nadia, this is what makes me feel insane.
It does. It leaves you feeling insane. It really, I just think, how can, well, now we're going to see, because Western media are allowed into Lebanon. So what they've been saying is they can't really report any of this because Israel doesn't let them in. So now let's start seeing the news really coming through.
But the
now.
information minister in Lebanon received a phone call saying, leave, you will die.
We're going to blow up the building.
So are they actually going to walk into the Lebanese Broadcasting Authority and say, get out?
Why else did they walk into the into Al Jazeera in the West Bank? Because why would you aggressively shut down the last news station? Why? Because you're about to do something even worse than you've already done. And as Netanyahu said, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
Anna Marie,
how many more times are the other Arab countries going to be prodded and expected to do nothing? I mean, my dad's country is right on the other side, right borders West Bank. You know, it's you know, and they've tried to keep peace. They've kept peace. They've shut down. They've stepped back so many times. And there's only so many times that you can do that, right?
Anna Marie Shellard, he told the world his plan years ago. He's been free to carry it out. The lack of shocked horror from our leaders is unbelievable. And interestingly, what also then happens from the West is there's a sort of almost a shaming that goes on of those countries that aren't sort of doing more, or those Arab nations that aren't doing more. But if any Arab nations did more, they then would then be characterized as terrorists. Don't do anything, do something. Don't do anything, do something. Nah. It's just
I listened to the most
obvious.
Terrifying, horrible report from the UN Children's Minister the other day saying, now that there are children dying from starvation in Gaza, we now do class that as a famine because it's just the way that it is that adults always feed their children. So when children die of starvation, obviously they're going to die earlier because they need food more, but we are in a famine. Let's not just skim over that. There is a man-made famine going on in Gaza. They are starving people to death. They have sieged them. They have put them in an open-air concentration camp, and they are starving them, not allowing them water or medical care or hospitalization or education. Right? They have complete impunity. They can arrest whoever they want, no matter what age it is, 4, 5, 6, 10, 110, and throw them in prison with them. This is going on and has been going on. And they're now moving into Lebanon. You know, this is really, really, really terrifying.
Helena B. Sheila Fogarty calling Hezbollah terrorists. Hezbollah are a prescribed terrorist organization. I think some of in this country and in various other Western countries, I think what people need to ask, or journalists need to start challenging, is the idea that why is it that these organizations are deemed terrorist organizations principally, though not only, principally in countries that are allies with the Zionist state of Israel. You know, there has to be some kind of marry up there of some form. I did post under my Instagram account about the fact that, you know, we once, the ANC was once prescribed a terrorist organization. Now, none of that justifies the killing of anyone. No one is justifying that. But this prescription is always coming from a particular point of view. It's coming from one side, one vested side of interest. And as that woman very articulately put it, the origin stories of many of these organizations came in the form of resistance. Now, we weren't told that. There wasn't news covering that. We had a vested interest in us not being told that as a culture, as a population. And I do think that more and more now, as we move on into, and I think social media is hugely important for this, we are going through a process of enlightenment. But, you know, all that America is saying, Zoe, you're asking, why isn't there an international outcry? All they keep saying is they're concerned. That's all.
But you know what? So you know what's wonderful? There is an international outcry of the people. Yes. But it's the leaders. Well, and that's why it's so important that you make your voice heard in whatever way you can, going to marches, talking to friends, listening to programs like this, going away, doing your own research, becoming awake to the lies that you may or may not have been told. You would know that very much with your history, you know, with Ireland. You know, many people here that have experienced in different ways from different countries this kind of this colonialism.
I just want
to wake up.
Yeah, we need to wake up. Just finally, I know, Mitchub, you're mentioning the Star Wars analogy. Star Wars is relevant here, and I have used this analogy many times in the past. The heroes, the goodies in all the Star Wars films are the Rebel Alliance, the rebels, the freedom fighters. They are the heroes. They are deemed in Star Wars the terrorists by Darth Vader. So who's Darth Vader in this equation? That's all I'm asking. Okay. Diddy. What do we call him now? Puff Daddy, Sean
You ask
Diddy.
this every time you talk about him.
But what
just
is he
call him
now?
Puff Daddy, and then other people have got a different name.
Sean Diddy. I know. I thought we could have a bit of fun with it, but there we go.
Oh.
Yes, all right. I wasn't literally asking. Leonardo DiCaprio has, well, he hasn't really said a statement, but there's a piece in the Daily Mail today saying Leonardo DiCaprio breaks his silence about having attended some parties when he was much younger. I think they were called the White Parties or something. Yeah, the White Parties back in 1998 in the Hamptons. I'm just going to pop up some images. But this story, I think, speaks to the very thing that, Nadia, you were talking about when this story erupted, which is, are we now going to see everyone and anyone who had any involvement, friendship or professional engagement or social engagement with him caught up in the quagmire of being a dirty bastard? So these are some images.
Well, like they did with
that's J-Lo.
Weinstein and...
There's an image there of Leonardo DiCaprio, probably young, smoking, having a laugh.
These are all completely fine photos.
These are all photos. Yeah, and none of these photos. These are some official photos taken at one of the other white parties. These are the artists involved.
But these people will all be tracked now.
Yeah, so we've got
we're
Justin
see
Bieber.
Every day we're going to see somebody that they're desperately trying to get.
So if you're listening,
down.
you've got Justin Bieber, an image of Leonardo DiCaprio, Usher, Naomi Campbell, Ashton Kutcher,
the point is that if people were involved in these terrible crimes that he's been accused of, it's like, when is it a witch hunt and when is it actually really beneficial investigative journalism, where truths can be revealed and people that may need to also be arrested or arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we said the other day, it's not until usually a few people speak up that other people come forward and then, more is revealed. I mean, I think, the whole world saw that video of him beating up that poor woman in the hotel corridor. And, you don't do that once and you don't do that so comfortably. He was very, very comfortable with that. It looks like, yeah. So, maybe it is valid. Maybe it's valid that they just check in on everybody that he was really close to. But I do feel really sorry for all those people that might have just been his mate and just gone to a few parties.
Representatives for Leonardo DiCaprio say he has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. He attended a few of his parties back in the early 2000s, but literally everyone did. They weren't freak-offs. They were big house parties.
Yeah.
Leo was at the start of his career at the time and has moved way past his partying. He has nothing to do with any of that world. So for anyone to assume that he will get roped into this based on a few grainy photos that are more than 20 years old is ridiculous. And I think...
It's not going to stop everyone looking, though.
No, absolutely.
And, I'm not talking about him at all. But as we know, photographs from long ago can sometimes be the beginning of finding out a story, can't they?
Does anyone else remember the story? Was it Megan Thee Stallion? The story, J-Lo, the issue with J-Lo is less, I mean, again, yes, she could, people, just because she was his partner or in a relationship with him doesn't mean she was necessarily involved in these parties or anything. No. But she was caught up, wasn't she, in the shooting?
Yeah.
With someone she was shot in the foot. And apparently she's never commented on it. She's never announced it. She's never spoken to it.
Who was it that shot
who? Well, allegedly, I think the suggestion is that someone else took the fall for Diddy. Oh. That's the idea, I think.
So I said to Mark today, imagine, because this does happen a lot.
Reese says they've got a terabyte's worth of footage of the alleged freak-off, so there's definitely some compromising figure on that footage. A terabyte is a lot. It's the amount of storage you've got on your phone, which is a lot.
I still don't really know it's a lot. Yeah. But I was saying to Mark, God, just imagine, because this does happen in showbiz a lot, that they were actually a PR coupling. That they were put together, Jennifer and Puff Daddy, to both elevate their fame and their careers. And imagine if she then has to say that was the case, I wasn't really in a relationship. Of course, I'm just imagining. But
and also, this is an important point Claire makes. Claire Cummins. A lot of people are family members of criminals and paedophiles. It doesn't mean all family members are involved.
Exactly.
Same thing, really. You're absolutely right.
But say everybody's living in the house and everybody's going to parties where a child might have said what's happening, you would expect them all to be investigated, wouldn't you, I suppose?
Yes, and then I suppose there is that element of how much did you know and what did you allow to pass.
But it's trial by newspapers and trial by TV documentaries that I just feel really uncomfortable with.
I'm pretty certain that at one of the white parties, I'm pretty certain I've seen photographs of Harry Prince Harry at one of them too. So I think,
I mean, he's not going to be doing any of that stuff
No,
in front of Prince Harry and William, you know. So that will be the next thing. The press will be wanting to get that whistle for it. They are not going to have been involved in the sex trafficking and slaving.
Yeah.
Mind you.
Reese Roberts. Yeah, the 1999 club shooting in New York, Diddy shot an individual in the club that made a friend, Shine, take the fall and go to prison. He came out 2017 and does political things in Belize. Wow.
And he's actually said that, has he?
Wow, is it kind of like, is it well known?
See, I wonder if that will become part of the case.
Oh, look, Ramona, this is interesting. Yeah, Ramona Soroldi. Unfortunately, I think a lot of starlets that were trying to get into the industry are on those tapes. I can't imagine the horror of their entire careers being ruined by the tapes. Yes, you're absolutely right.
What an egomaniac to film it all and keep it all. I suppose it's to have information on people. Information is power, isn't it? It's so, if all of this ends up being true, is so, so evil and horrible and... Oh, have we, you know, do you know what, do you feel like this, guys? Do you feel like another horror story? It's like, oh my God. Sometimes it feels like, I don't know. It just feels like we've gone so far back as human beings sometimes.
Okay, well,
So
let's move to a maybe not lighter story, but a kind of a story. Early pub closings. Let's talk about this.
That's a lighter story.
Yeah, it is a lighter story. So this is the suggestion, though some Labour MPs are quite quickly trying to rubbish it and say, no, not at all. This is the suggestion that the government could force pubs to close earlier in a departure from what Tony Blair introduced as a sort of continental cafe culture. The idea here being that, you know, less hours to drink in a pub will have a positive effect on the cost and the burden on the NHS. Do you agree, or is this nanny state yet again gone mad?
Well,
like not smoking outside the pub.
I'm not always against nanny state because I think sometimes we don't know what's bloody good for us. And I think if you have things like the Ministry of Health and you have the huge bill, God knows, I can't remember what percentage of our...
60% of the cost and burden to the NHS, Chris Whitty said.
Yeah.
60%, very, very soon, in the next couple of years, 60% of everything the NHS does or looks after is totally avoidable.
So that'll be things like not diabetes 1, but diabetes 2. And
lifestyle.
I remember ages
illnesses.
ago a doctor saying that to me, that they were starting to, the cost of diabetes and lifestyle. So I think, we have to, we need a bit of nanny state because otherwise...
It's the balance, though, isn't it? How do you draw that balance?
It's the balance. But what I do think is...
It's a great comment from Laura Lou.
Go on.
No. Less hours means drink as much as you can before the pub shuts.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say, Laura Lou. We cannot shift our drinking culture into the European cafe culture by reducing hours. Because the entire culture is different. So families eat together. People usually will have wine with food. You don't go to many places on the continent where you just go in and drink, though that's probably changing now with just the way that the world's all bleeding into the same thing, isn't it? I'm just going to flip up
comments whilst we're talking.
But I do like the idea. Well, I like any ideas. I like the feeling that there is some thought going into our drinking culture and what we could possibly do to affect some change. And I think our generation is lost and gone. I think we're the rosé lot, we're the large gin tonics on holiday. I think we're gone. I think we're past it. I think we're going to carry on drinking exactly the way we always did. There is the new generation. We're hearing more and more. I like younger generations are drinking less and less. But I think it needs to be a big part of biology lessons. I think it has to go right at school. I think we have to name alcohol as a poison because it is. We've all heard the saying, if it were to be brought in now, it would be a Class A drug, all of that. So in school, showing exactly what can happen to you, what a fatty liver looks like from alcohol, how one person could just drink 5 or 6 units a week and get fatty liver, another person could drink 100 and not, that it's a Russian roulette. You don't know how it's going to affect your body. Show kids a really like mushed up face from somebody that's drunk too much alcohol through their life. Show them how it eats into your money. Show them you could end up with You could end up with diabetes too if you overdrink as well. Lots of high sugar. You could end up having a limb amputated because of it. I think from that age, from school age.
Don't you think, we were talking about this the other day about nanny state, don't you think that it's really weird that in this multimedia age, with so many youngsters clearly not on the telly, not watching TV, but all on their devices, that the government hasn't in any way engaged with the idea of doing health
TikToks.
Alert films like
Well, do
the
we know
AIDS.
they haven't?
Well, where do they ever, the girls never talk about
No,
them?
but they might. They might see.
Yeah, but
They've
the
got to be careful
mainstream.
in case they do.
Well, I don't think they do, because the mainstream media will always pick up on an arresting campaign. There are no health campaigns that drive the
we've spoken
dangers
about
and
this before,
fears
haven't we?
of, and like,
Last week we were talking about ketamine, and we were saying, why don't we have great big posters up with kids with the bag?
Thanks, Mark. Good
when
point.
their bladder is fucked by taking such a cheap but really dangerous drug. So
Billy Talon was suggesting that we should introduce the 21-year-old drink limit. You can't drink before 21, like in America.
But there is like scientific proof to back that up. Well, actually, this is never going to happen, but up to 25, because it affects the brain growth before 25.
But I tell you what I would really like, because I'm now going to ask Billy Talon, who is American, who lives here, a question that you're probably not going to be able to answer. But I think maybe what we need to be given as a population is our studies into, I'd be fascinated to know, does the 21 age limit on drinking in America, does it have a, definable benefit on younger people, on the kind of weight of kind of illness on the healthcare system? Is it preventative? Is it a solution?
What are the differences
does
in
it
countries?
because all I think isn't that why spring break happens? Don't kids always just hang around getting other people to buy them drinks and stuff like that? Does it have because you're right, maybe it does, maybe it could work.
I'm just trying to think, because as I've said to you many times, guys, I was like a very, very heavy drinker. I think I would have ended up dying of alcohol, actually, if I hadn't, Mark hadn't got sober and had the kids and stuff. But I'm thinking about my early days drinking and, starting really young and drinking very heavily, and thinking about how that could possibly have how it could not have gone that way. I think discovering the impulsive behavior around ADHD has helped me understand my drinking more. And I think, we know that there is evidence there that people with ADHD have much higher risk of addictive behavior. But I think also I didn't have enough sense of self. We grew up in a different age where we weren't really talking to young people and allowing them to talk about what their fears were or their anxieties. I didn't know the word anxiety. I didn't know, I was tortured by multiple thoughts all the time. I was very insecure about the way I looked and all of that. And so I swallowed down my feelings with alcohol. I did. And I really think if I had the knowledge then that I have now, I would have been a moderate drinker.
I mean, I do think that, look, don't get me wrong, there is, one of the kind of rites of passage is, when you're young, you just do stupid things, you say stupid things, you have a kind of carefree, it's not going to affect me, I'm sort of immune. It's the joys of youth, isn't it? But it's also the perils of youth, is that you think none of this is actually going to catch up with me. I am the exception. I know everyone else is getting this wrong with them, but it won't affect me, There's an exceptionalism that is part of being young. So I do wonder how much you say that now with the hindsight of being nearly 60 and knowing, if you think what we didn't know even about alcoholism when we met.
But when I think about the way I talk to the girls about alcohol, and I am like a dripping tap, I'm like, oh yeah, I never like finger wagging, but just about, the thing is, like, when you are feeling low and then you drink, you actually do feel worse. In fact, just talking about these things that I was completely unaware of. The thing is, oh yeah, well, you will filter. Oh yeah, well, you won't be able to concentrate. Oh well, yeah, you remember just a little bit. All the information I wish I'd had that I didn't have. Now you're right. Who's to say that would have made any bloody difference? I might still go, come on, guys.
It's the nature of youth, isn't it? Yeah. It's the nature of youth.
But I think education, not educate, proper talking to them, talking about why you drink, why you swallow down your feelings. Now I will never, ever drink when I'm sad or I'm depressed or I'm angry, because I know that the effect is really bad. I only drink when I'm already happy and I'm just highlighting a bit. And I used to drink on all my feelings. Any feelings could be sorted out with a drink. And now I just have that consciousness that it's not. Makes it worse. Simple as that.
I mean, it's hard. And the nature, someone rang in again to LBC this morning talking about this, and they said, addiction and alcoholism, one of its defining features, one of its key characteristics is it's a disease that tries to tell you you haven't got a disease. Yeah. That's one of its kind of elements. So when you hear someone, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. If you drink when you're down, it's only going to make things worse. You're going to get a momentary respite, which will be the first drink. And it's down. But no amount of knowing that or saying that necessarily is going to stop someone from that first drink, because the problem with the issue is the person might think, well, yes, that is true by and large, but I'm not an alcoholic.
But I'm so lucky because you're sober.
Yeah.
So there's no way I would have this attitude if it hadn't been for you getting sober, because I might come in and feel like pissed off at something, and you might go, should we pop open a bottle of wine? I go, go on then, let's just have one glass. That's the real difference, isn't it? So
you've got to be
careful
right.
who you spend your time with. Because when I think of the groups that I've known through my life, and I've seen my patterns of behaviour through the groups I've known through my life, I am incredibly susceptible to what the group is doing.
Yeah. Go with the group.
I'm so idiot. So
a couple of interesting comments I want to read out. Victoria Moore, that's why there's always a fight at a funeral. Drink and sadness does not mix.
What a great line.
Interesting.
Yes.
But Stuart G, I love your well, this is a solution. I broke my leg on Sambuca. That calmed my drinking right down. I learnt the hard way. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can take a sort of rock bottom of sort of like smaller rock bottom proportions. I don't know. I personally can't work out whether this is going to, if you were to limit the pub times, I don't think it's going to change anything. I
mean, the trouble is a lot of people now drink really fast before they go out. We certainly know that from the young people we know, because pubs are too expensive, clubs are too expensive. Yeah. So people are binge drinking like crazy because the pubs have got too expensive. I think it's increased the problem, because of squeeze pubs, so their prices go up. Clubs are unbelievable. When the girls tell me what it costs in a club, I mean, none of them or their friends drink in the clubs. They're not making because they can't afford it.
And Reese makes a really interesting point. It's gone way up. But what a lot of youngsters don't realise is in these drugs that they think their parents are so old-fashioned about, ketamine, in spliff, in skunk, in all the kind of, really cool drugs, fentanyl is creeping into everything. Fentanyl is creeping into
with inverted commas.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's cool. Yeah, inverted commas. I'm being sarcastic. But fentanyl in this country, the increase in fentanyl is alarming and worrying. And why you often people ask the question, why would drug dealers want to make you get addicted to something that kills you? Because the addiction is stronger. They don't care if you do die. They just want the addiction to be more driven, and so that they can sell yet more drugs. And it's frightening. I think there needs to be a campaign to get more health awareness campaigns that shock. There's often been ones about driving fast. They're really strong. There's one on the back of buses that says you chose not to drive, and there's a picture of a boy. It can even be a poster. You can do shocking campaigns even in this sort of multimedia environment. Finally, before we go, we've got to go. I just want to show you this. This takes cold water swimming in the morning to new levels. This is in Finland. Could anyone do this?
Oh my God, that's so dangerous.
For those listening, there's a man under ice.
What's happened? Is it a mistake?
There's a man under ice.
Oh my God, this is horrific.
Oh, he's fallen over. Hang on.
Oh my God, they're desperately trying to get him out.
No, don't worry. It has a happy ending. He's pulling on the rope.
Is there an actual rope?
Yeah.
So are they mucking about? Oh, they were mucking about. They were just doing that to show how hard the ice was.
How stressful is that? Apparently more and more people in Finland and Russia are doing that. Mad people. Anyway, hang on, just quickly before we go. Billy Talon, interesting statistic. In 2022, 1,345 people under 21 were killed in drunk driving crashes, which is about 10% of all drunk driving fatalities in the US. 230 deaths in the UK. I can't work out if that sounds a lot or not a lot.
Hang on.
Is that in 2000 under 21 were killed in drunk driving crash? In the US, 230 deaths in total in the UK. I think I understand what you're
I'm
driving
not good
at.
with numbers, Billy.
No, that feels like one of those challenges at
I'm like,
school, Billy.
When,
where we're like,
when Billy goes down to the shop
with
and
6
buys
eggs,
10 oranges.
he drops an egg getting off the bus. How many
Excuse
eggs are
our
on
brains.
the bus?
I'm sure everybody else got that.
Sorry, Billy. Anyway, guys, lots of love. Take care. Have a good day.